We're taking a look at the killer builds that have been sent to me. Let's dig in. Greetings and salutations, killers. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to go over some of the builds that have been submitted to me either via my website, deltrandoes.games, or on my Discord server. Link for both are in the doobly-doo. Let's just jump right into it. This first build that we have here is a Catria from Kyle. And looking at this right away, there's... You know, I really like it. A slaying lance, actually slaying weapons period, have been very well optimized for a lot of things. And so, you know what? I mean, already came with the killing lance. You just switch out the slaying is fine. That almost always does the job in every case. And the fact that this is meant to be an aggressive build for her is actually pretty impressive. Taking a look at this, I mean, you have the life and death, you have the desperation, you just get hit once and then you go into desperation range and then you go to town on it. She is a good desperation user. My test for that, whenever I want to see if somebody's good at using desperation, is I'll drop their hit points to 1 in a combat sim online of my choice and see if she still gets at least as many kills. If not more than what she was getting before, and she does. She maintains that rather well. And taking a look at this, it seems really good. I do have a couple of things that I would recommend that would probably make this a little better for the meta that's out there. And the first thing is, instead of desperation, if you're bringing her into arena, if you're doing PvE stuff with her, desperation's gonna give you that longevity you need. If you bring her into arena and she's +5, I bet you are. I would put Swordbreaker in for that B slot. Looking at this, it's not a setup that skill point wise is completely optimized for arena, so subbing in desperation, or subbing that out rather, for Swordbreaker is a great idea. She has, I mean, 44 speed is nothing to laugh at, but you're still going to be bumping into issues with certain units where you initiate on them and all you're doing is reducing their cooldown. They're going to hit you, and they may even hit you twice depending on the buffs they have going on and things like that. You've got to be careful with how things are going, because honestly, you know what, 44 speed for a +5 unit, Red can outspeed that. That's the world we live in now. It used to be that that was fine. You'd be okay. You wouldn't get doubled. You wouldn't worry about anything. Yeah, not anymore. That's not how things work. I really do recommend putting Swordbreaker on her just to make sure that you get rid of all the red threats. And then, yeah, you're going to get that swing. They get a swing back. You get that second and final swing in, and then the fight's over. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Yeah, you lose desperation. Yeah, you lose the ability to engage into a second one, but in arena, that's not going to matter. The other thing for all game modes is actually there's, with the harmonic lance out there specifically, she even runs fire sweep lance well too. If you have a spare, I use the word in quotes, a spare lance of some sort, I would go ahead and put it on her just to give it a try to get a feel for it. She gets just as many kills now as she does with fire sweep, and she doesn't receive any retaliation. So that might be nice for an arena team where now you're incentivized to have a unit not do all the killing, so you could use that to whittle somebody down and then send in the hero of the week so that they can get the kills. Or if you go with something like harmonic lance, that extra pop is really nice. It works out well for her, especially since you have a cooldown of well, in this case 1, but it'll be 2 once you switch that out, and that's not bad. So honestly, Kyle, this is a nice build. I like seeing the good defense there, and that nice speed and the good bulk, even with life and death. She has just enough bulk to be able to do that. Of course, mages still bring her down because, unfortunately, also 64 magical defense is not much anymore, but hey, you know, we'll take our wins where we can get them. So thank you so much, Kyle, for sharing that. That is awesome. The next build we're going to take a look at here is a Joshua, and this is given to us by Shaded Hydra. Now, I like to see love for Grand Hero battle units and Tempest Trial units. I just like it whenever people invest in them, and it's good to see that this one is +1. Could be +2 by now, just saying. Otherwise, overall, it's a good setup, and you know what? Renewal works really, really well on him in this particular case. Renewal has gotten this bad rap as like this filler skill that doesn't work out. But here's the thing, this particular Joshua, while isn't just dominating the entire field, does super well against green, and so you know what? There's a few green that do sort of give it a run for its money. There's a couple of red that this Joshua can still take. And between that and the Fury, I mean, he's whittling himself down, but you know what? That renewal is going to actually let him go into things. Now, I did calculate the DPT on this, assuming you had speed ploy going, and that's not too big of an ask, so I do have that there. Honestly, it looks like you're not. This build isn't arena optimized for points, just for efficiency, which sadly is a completely different story, but there's also a completely different video. I like this build a lot. This build is just ready to stand and deliver. Fury works out well on him because he has that almost high score and everything, so this brings it to a level that's impressive. He has the staying power, he has the killing power. The only thing I have to say about this build is that if you're bringing it into arena often, then you may want to give him Iceberg as opposed to Glacies. Now, of course, once Glacies procs, it's gonna just mow over so many things, and that's great for PvE, or if you need that in your PvP team, then, you know, keep it. Otherwise, I recommend going with Iceberg. You're gonna get a lot better performance out of it, and having that quicker turnaround is gonna be worth so much more than having that larger pop later on, because so many times either that larger pop is just overkill, it's kill for the sake of kill, or you're not going to get to it. So that's really the only thing I had to say about this. Great job on this, man. I really like it, and thank you for sharing. The next hero that we're going to talk about is a Raven build. I like this Raven build, and I got information to me telling me that it was actually plus speed, but it looks like it's plus defense. But regardless, this one's pretty interesting because it has a fortress defense and a fortress resistance on it. 49 attack is still okay, but you know what? Especially once you look, you have the 40 speed, you know, it is pretty fast. The thing that I'm looking at here, though, is that this build can't really tolerate having both on it, in my opinion. I mean, when it comes down to, I mean, if Katria didn't have tons of magical resistance, then, you know what, this guy has, this poor Raven has, like, nothing, right? I mean, it's just not going to work for him, which is yet another rant of mine for later. But, I mean, having Axebreaker on there is a good idea, so that you can go ahead and keep on chewing through people you should, and you have that extra 20% damage against Reds. Even though they outspeed you, they're not going to, some of them won't double you, like we already talked about. This is, I'm looking at this as if you're fighting level, like +0 merged units on this one. So, I mean, you're at that range where if they initiate on you, yeah, they're going to probably double you. Otherwise, you're going to be able to initiate on them, even get a good hit in. And, you know, if your bonfire procs, it's all over. It's like all over. So, in my opinion, I think you'd be much better off, because you do have a good defense on here, and a lot of that's from fortress defense, but here's what I'm thinking. You could go ahead and get rid of that fortress resistance seal, and then put in the attack and defense seal, because, you know, it's going to raise your attack here. It's not going to just raise it by 2, it's going to raise it by a total of 5, because you're no longer having the penalty there. Any attack buff, and I'm sure you already noticed this, but any attack buff you put on him is just pure gravy, and it just helps you get to so many different things. So if you're already stacking 10 on top of that, 59 is okay, but honestly, at this point in time, I really recommend getting rid of that resistance seal. It's not going to save them too often, so you might as well put in something that will. I think that's just a good substitution. It's nice to see a good defense on this particular unit, and it has such a wonderful speed that there's still so many other things that can be set up for this. So like I said, if you have a team that's like going to be just dumping attack on them, then you know what, maybe none of my concerns matter. So thank you so much. I like seeing that. I like seeing Ravens. I'm trying to merge mine. I'm trying to build mine. So I like to see what's out there. Next up, we have ourselves Alexander Johnson's Myrrh. And I like this Myrrh simply because it doesn't have distant counter on it. How sad is that, right? That's all you need on it anymore, is not that distant counter. Well, it's really pretty much a basic setup here, and I like it. Now, of course, there's a lot of blue numbers here. I did the DPT as if there were no blue numbers. If you actually go ahead and do this, with this set of buffs that's on her, yeah, you're getting like 10 more kills and only a couple less losses on the DPT. It's impressive. I like it a lot. The getting that attack buffed up so much is really impressive, and I wish like an idiot, I'm like tapping here on this picture, trying to find out who you have ally support with, and it isn't working. But I hate not to downplay it, but there's not a heck of a lot to say here. 70 attack is plenty to have Heavy Blade activate. Fury is not going to bother you too much whenever you have an effective 48 defense. This is just a really good build here, so good job with that. And I guess you're running it with dragons because of the home dragons, but still, no, that's awesome, man. I like the Mer build. So this is the only build I got that had a note saying, please help me. I've been commenting on all of these builds as we go along, just because, to sort of show where my line of thinking is on things. But this is the only one that said, hey, I want some help. Is there any way to make this fur better without going with Fury? And so I guess the assumption here is that they want to make, I mean, like, it's a completely competitive, except for the seal, it's a completely competitive set for Arena. The only points you're missing out on outside of the seal are not having distant counters to A slot, and you know what, it's not like you could just go pull that. So having said that, you know, that's one thing you may want to look into eventually, or probably something like Deathblow 4 actually is really nice on this particular setup. It would make it a little bit more aggressive. That's the thing about this. Let me quit babbling and come back to something. If you're trying to make a defensive fur, which, I mean, Steady Breath only works whenever the enemy is engaging you. You have defense for your refinement. You don't have the Wrath effect on there. You have Wrath as a B slot, but you don't have the Wrath effect on the Nameless Blade. So looking at it that way, you're trying to make a defensive build for her so that then she can get Aether to proc the round after, or if the fight went that way, then, you know, this current fight. But I mean, looking at things, she lives through a heck of a lot, but doesn't really kill that many things on her turn. That's sort of where I'm looking at things, and I bet you that's what you're looking at too, is you're like, crap, I have this unit that is strong, but it doesn't seem to kill anything. Well, here's the thing, is if you're trying to make a defensive enemy phase fur, other than maybe thinking about distant counter so that you can get some easy wins off of some mages, there's nothing more that you can really do. I like this build. It works. It works rather well. I mean, even switching out that attack seal doesn't really do anything for you. Now, if you wanted to switch things up and go aggressive, go player phase, then going back to what I was starting to go into prematurely, Deathblow 4 is a good option in this particular case. And while as of recording, that's just as rare, if not rarer, technically, than Distant Counter, I have a feeling that that's not going to be the case by the end of the year. So I think you'll be able to actually ideally aim for that and try to get that ability on her. Also, I think that you can go ahead and go with something a little bit different. I think that you could go for either the Wrath effect or go with a speed refinement on her weapon, and then you'll be able to, and this is if you're going aggressive, and then with your seal, then you can go ahead and do something fun like defense ploy as well, because then you're ensuring the enemy is not going to be going fast enough. You can go ahead and get rid of 5 extra defense. That's 2 more than the 3 you're getting, and it has a lot better weight in arena for you. So I mean, you can go ahead and mix things up that way. I think that would work out well, but like I said, that totally changes this from an enemy phase to a player phase build, which, you know, apples and oranges, it's all fruit, but it doesn't matter. It's a totally different fruit. So for better or worse, no, I can't find a way to optimize this for the style of build that you have, outside of maybe distant counter, like I said, to just get the free easy wins off of some mages, because you have that nice high resistance. I bet you use her to block dragons all the time. As a matter of fact, green dragons are the things that she drops, right? I mean, yeah, I think that's just sort of where that stands. So I'm sorry, Kai, if I wasn't able to help you out too much there, but this is a great fur. It shows a lot of dedication, and yeah, it's nice. It's strange to see a fur with such a high defense, to be honest with you, but outside of that, that's great. The last build we're going to talk about is from Suave Goose. And Suave Goose has a special place in my heart because he is a member of Deltran Does Games on YouTube. If you don't know, you can actually be a member of a channel on YouTube just by going to gaming.youtube.com. I think they just changed the URL recently. And if you go to the channel there, you can actually just click to become a member. I'll talk about that in a moment, but taking a look at this Killing Machine Expert's stuff, I like his AT key, and it's something that I actually have one that's very, very similar to this. I like AT key a lot, and it's not just because I couldn't get young Tiki. Chaz, shut up. But otherwise, no, it's wonderful because you have that distant counter. You can go ahead and catch a mage, and yeah, you're going to kill that mage, just as we were talking about before. Attack smoke is there to weaken everybody else, and that mage is going to probably attack you first, unless the other person's like a blue infantry unit or something like that, because they're going to get that extra damage on top of you. There's 11 potential damage there, and with a speed of 26, should be easy to hurt you. Well, you know what? With that, you're going to go ahead and attract that mage. You're going to power up your Aether. You're going to go ahead and throw attack smoke on everybody, so you're taking, and let's be realistic, it's not just 7 less damage, it's like 14, because you're going to get double. 14 less damage. I like it a lot. The only thing I have to say is that distant defense, in PvE it may really help, but outside of PvE, distant defense actually doesn't do anything for you. Well, you know, you just need to have a small buff to defense or attack in order to kill off some other threats. You can easily get that just by using close defense. If you want to sub that in, if you don't already have that on somebody else in your team, sub that in. It'll be nice. It gives you another option against Ira and Ira-like builds, so that you'll be able to stop them from devastating you, and it just gives you that extra flexibility, especially if people start running more than one red person in an arena team. Then now you have that flexibility there. Otherwise, no, this thing's, she's a wall. She's a brick house. So it's really good there. I like that. Thank you so much, Suave Goose, for sharing this build with me. Thank you so much for supporting me on YouTube by being a member of DeltranDoes.games. Link down the doobly-doo if you want to find out what I do for people, such as have extra Discord channels, talk to them about their arena week and help them tweak out their characters a lot more, although Suave doesn't really need that too much. Go ahead and check that out. And thank you everybody else who sent in builds. Yes, this was like only a few, but I'm going through the rest, and I will make these videos a little bit faster in the future, I'm hoping. And going through them, it was a challenge for me to curate these, not because of how many I'm getting. I am just overjoyed all the love and support that I'm getting by seeing your guys' killer builds. That is awesome. Thank you guys so much. What really got to me was I have the website that you could submit, and then I have the Discord channel where you can submit. And so now I have 2 piles of killer builds to go through, and it just was a little bit awkward. Now the ones on the website are a lot smaller, and honestly I think I'm going to finish those off first and then hop on over to the Discord and start to go through that line. But if you want to submit one for these episodes, I'm hoping to do these bi-weekly. Go ahead and either go to deltrandoes.games/contact or hop on the Discord. I'll see you there. You can go ahead and post there. It'll be great. We will have a great time with this. And do me a favor, if you like your Fire Emblem information hot and fresh like Grandma's cookies, hit that subscribe button. My name is Deltran. Thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate all of you, and until next time, take it easy.